Hello and welcome to session 33 of Direct Tax 2, 4th semester BCom of Mangalore University. We are in the chapter Capital Gain, and in this particular session, we are going to learn as to how to compute short-term and long-term capital gain, the explanation of the format with cost inflation index, that is CII, and the concept of cost of acquisition under different situations, and the concept of cost of improvements. So let's understand as to how we compute short-term and long-term capital gain. So computation of capital gain, and in that computation of short-term capital gain. So we have this particular format. Whenever an asset is transferred, the sale consideration is received. So that is going to be the starting point as far as the format is concerned. Then from the sale consideration, we are supposed to deduct selling expenses. We are supposed to deduct cost of acquisition of that asset and any cost of improvements if incurred. So selling expenses, cost of acquisition and cost of improvement, put together will be deducted from sale consideration to arrive at what is called as short-term capital gain. Now, as far as short-term capital gains are concerned, there are certain exemptions. So if we claim such exemptions, you can reduce your capital gain, reduce your short-term capital gain. And such exemptions for reduction from short-term capital gain are available under section 54B, that is to do with agricultural land. Then we have 54D to do with industrial assets. Then we have 54G, that is transfer of the business that is from an urban area to a rural area. And we have 54GA as well, that is from a urban area to a special economic zone. So these are some exemptions that we have from short-term capital gain. And from short-term capital gain, if any exemptions are available, those are to be deducted. And after deduction, we arrive at what is called as taxable short-term capital gain. Point to be noted, if in the problem exemptions are not mentioned at all, then this number, short-term capital gain, itself will be taken as short-term, taxable short-term capital gain. So that is about short-term capital gain computation. Let's look at long-term capital gain computation. Again, the starting point will be sale consideration received. Then we deduct selling expenses. Now, very, very important point we deduct is indexed cost of acquisition. How do you index the cost of acquisition? Similarly, we have the index cost of improvement. Then we have index cost of improvement. So how do you calculate the index cost of acquisition and index cost of improvement? We will understand that. So selling expenses, index cost of acquisition, index cost of improvement put together is deducted from sale consideration received. We arrive at what is called as long-term capital gain. And from long-term capital gain, we have exemptions under section 54, that is to deal with the transfer of a residential property. Then we have 54B, that is a long-term capital asset as agricultural land is concerned. Then we have 54D, again industrial undertaking and assets connected. Then 54EC to do with investments in securities, specified securities. Then we have 54F, transfer of any long-term capital asset other than residential house. So from this long-term capital gain, these exemptions can be deducted. And thereafter, we arrive at what is called as taxable long-term capital gain. Suppose in the problem, there is no mention of any exemptions from long-term capital gain, then this long-term capital gain itself will be taken as taxable long-term capital gain. Now, how do we go about with the indexation? Let's understand this. So there is a formula for calculating the index cost of acquisition. It is simply cost of acquisition into cost inflation index for the year in which the asset is transferred divided by cost inflation index for the year of acquisition. So this is how you calculate the index cost of acquisition. We take cost of acquisition into CII of the year of transfer. Since we are solving problems pertaining to previous year 1920, so more or less all transactions in the problem, the transfer would be of 1920 itself. So CII of 1920 will be considered divided by CII of the year in which the property was acquired, the acquisition of that particular asset. Similarly, index cost of improvement, how do we calculate? We take cost of improvement into CII for the year in which the asset is transferred or sold, divided by CII for the year of improvement. So same rule. So cost of improvement into CII of 1920, because we are going to talk about the year in which the asset is transferred, and during the previous year, we talk about the previous year 1920, divided by cost inflation index for the year in which the improvement had taken place. Now, what is this cost inflation index number? These are index issued by central government with regard to average rise in the consumer price index. And these are the years and the numbers starting from the previous year, 2001, 2002. And as I've highlighted over here, 2019-20, the cost inflation index is 289. So for all our calculations in capital gain problem, the numerator will always be 289, especially when we are indexing either the cost of acquisition or the cost of improvement. So there are different rates. The base year is 1, 2, starting with CII of 100. And gradually you see the numbers have increased over a period of time, the CII numbers. And now we have 289 as the number for the computation of capital gain, that is taking previous year 1920. Now there are certain situations, and we have to understand in those situations, what is the cost of acquisition? So first of all, we'll understand the meaning. So cost of acquisition of a capital asset refers to the cost of purchasing or constructing the capital asset. How much cost an SSE has incurred in the acquisition of that asset, such value will be taken as the cost of acquisition. Now, there are some important points that we have to note pertaining to cost of acquisition. Cost of acquisition of the previous owner. Suppose if the cost of acquisition of the capital asset to the present owner, the person who is the owner of that asset right now, cannot be ascertained, then the cost of acquisition of the asset to its previous owner should be taken as COA in the hands of the present owner. Let's take, for example, a father had purchased a property in 1960. And as per the will now, in the year 2019-20 or 2015-16, say property is transferred as per the will in favor of his son. And in the year 1920, the son decides to sell that particular property. So we have the numerator, we have the cost of, we have the cost of acquisition. Possibly we'll have to find out, because we are not sure at what price the father had purchased the property. So since we are not aware what was the cost incurred by his father to acquire that property, that will be taken as the cost. It will be multiplied by CII of the year 1920, the year in which the son decides to sell that property, divided by CII of which year now? 1960, there is no CII as given, because we are starting from the previous year 2001-2. So 2001-2 will be taken as the base year. But our focus is on the cost of acquisition. If in the hands of the present owner, the COA cannot be identified, then cost of acquisition of the previous owner should be taken as COA in the hands of the present owner for the calculation of capital gain. Next, we have cost of acquisition of assets acquired before 1/4/2001 by the SSE. I just mentioned about it. Suppose if the SSE has acquired the property before 1st April 2001, that is before the base year of CII. In that case, the SSE is given an option to choose what should be his cost of acquisition. He can choose any one of the two. Either he can take the cost of acquisition of an asset acquired before 1/4/2001, that is should be taken as its purchase price, whatever cost is incurred, or the fair market value, FMV, as on 1st April 2001. Among the two numbers, whichever is higher, because if the SSE takes a higher amount, he can claim higher amount as deduction, reducing the capital gain and thereby reducing the tax amount as well. So if an asset is acquired by an SSE prior to 1st April 2001, that is before the base year of CII, then the SSE is given an option to choose any one as the COA, that is the cost of acquisition. Either the actual cost at which the property was acquired, or the fair market value of that property on 1st of April 2001. So among these two numbers, whichever is higher can be taken as cost of acquisition. Then we have cost of acquisition of shares, including bonus and right shares. So first we'll understand what do you mean by bonus shares. Bonus shares is nothing but shares issued by the company to the existing shareholders free of cost. Company is not charging any money for issuing bonus shares. So rightfully you can understand the COA, cost of acquisition of bonus shares in the hands of shareholder is nil because the shareholder doesn't pay anything. Next we talk about right shares. Refers to the share issue of shares made by the company where the existing shareholders have the first right to subscribe to it. So before anyone could buy the shares, the existing shareholders have the right to subscribe to the shares of their particular company. So those shares are called as right shares. Now these right shares are usually offered at a price lesser than the prevailing market price. Suppose the face value of the share is ₹10. The market value of the share, let's say, is around 1000 rupees market value. Company is offering the 10 rupee share, let's say at 950 rupees. 10 rupees is the face value and 940 rupees will be the premium amount. But for a shareholder, it is beneficial because the market price of that share is 1000 rupees and company is offering at 950 rupees. So whatever is the number of shares allotted to a particular shareholder, there's a benefit of around 50 rupees per share. So these are about right shares. Now, how do you calculate the cost of acquisition of bonus shares and right shares? Now, if these shares are acquired before 31st of January 18, then the cost of acquisition shall be deemed to be the higher of the actual cost of such investments and lower of two important items: fair market value of such investments as on 31st January 18 and the full value of consideration received or accruing as a result of transfer of the capital asset. That is the sale price. So if the bonus and right shares are acquired before 31st March 18, remember 31st January 18 is a very, very important date because it was, during this date, the budget was passed. The budget of the year 2018-19 was passed, and there came in what is called as the grandfathering effect, which we will be discussing when we solve problems on shares and computation of capital gain. So cost of acquisition of bonus shares and right shares shall be deemed to be the higher of the actual cost of acquisition of such investments, actual cost, and lower of either FMV or sale price. So FMV or sale price, full value of consideration, whichever is lower, will be compared with the actual cost of acquisition. And among the two, whichever is higher will be considered as the cost of acquisition. Now, how do you calculate capital gain or loss? So capital gain or loss is nothing but the sale price minus the revised cost of acquisition on 31st of January 2018. So selling price minus the revised cost of acquisition on 31st January 2018 will be taken as the difference. If it's a positive value, it will be a gain. If it's a negative value, the difference would be a capital loss, depending upon whether it's held for more than 12 months, less than 12 months, provided the shares are listed, resulting in short-term or long-term capital gain. Now, what is the cost of acquisition of goodwill, patents, trademark, and brand name? If the asset is purchased from the previous owner, if goodwill is purchased, when you acquire a company, acquire a partnership firm, patents, trademarks, and brand name, if it is acquired, then the cost is the purchase price, how much amount has been paid. Whereas in all other cases, the cost is nil. So if an SSE has acquired goodwill and its own, then the cost of acquisition of goodwill will be taken as nil because nothing has been paid. Then cost of acquisition of depreciable asset. This is very, very important one. And we have taken this even in sessions 22, 23, 24 of our direct tax 2. Cost of acquisition of depreciable assets will always be taken as the written down value of such assets, that is on the date of transfer. We have seen this in the chapter depreciation as well under section 32. You can refer sessions 11 to 16 for more information on depreciable assets. The written down value on the date of transfer shall be taken as the cost of acquisition. Now, very important point to be noted. Capital gain or loss arising on the transfer of a depreciable asset, whether the asset is held for 12 months, 24 months, or 36 months, is always short term. Depreciable assets will always result in short-term capital gain or short-term capital loss, irrespective of the period of holding. Next very important point. Suppose we had entered into an agreement with a buyer for transfer of any asset, and the buyer has paid advance money. And suppose he is not able to keep up with this promise. He is not able to buy that particular property. The advance money which is already received will be forfeited. That means it will not be returned to such a buyer who could not fulfill his promise. That would be retained by the SSE, but such advance amount forfeited will be deducted from the cost of acquisition of the asset in the computation of capital gain. So if any advance money is received from a buyer and thereafter forfeited, such advance amount will be deducted from the cost of acquisition in the computation of capital gain when it is transferred to the next buyer. Now, suppose if there is any damage, any compensation received from the insurance company on the complete damage or destruction of an asset. When we say complete, we are talking about complete, cannot be used at all. Complete damage or destruction of an asset is treated as capital gain. That is the sale consideration. So compensation amount received will be treated as sale consideration for the computation of capital gain. But important point, on the complete damage or destruction of an asset, that means to say that asset cannot be used at all further. So that is about the cost of acquisition and different situations. Next, we talk about cost of improvement, very important point. So cost incurred by the SSE for improvement of an asset. See, you have a house, you have 3 rooms, you add 1 extra room. That is an example of the cost incurred for improvement. Now, in case of goodwill, the cost of improvement is always nil. Goodwill cannot be improved. Goodwill has to be retained. In case of all other assets, cost of improvement should be taken into account for calculating capital gain only if it is incurred after 1st April 2001. This is a very important point. So all capital assets, cost of improvement will be considered provided it is incurred after 1st April 2001. Any cost of improvement incurred before 1st April 2001 is not considered at all for indexation or for computation of capital gain. So if the SSE acquired the asset as per a gift or as per the will or inheritance, then the cost of improvement incurred by the previous owner will be taken as cost of improvement in the hands of the SSE. So if the SSE has acquired that asset as a gift or as a will or through inheritance, then what is the cost of improvement incurred by previous owner? Same will be the cost of improvement in the hands of the present owner. And last is the important point which I just mentioned. Any cost of improvement incurred by the SSE before 1st April 2001, that is the base year for CII. Before 1st April 2001, any cost of improvement incurred, that will not be considered for indexation at all. Cost of acquisition before 1st April 2001 will be compared with fair market value of that asset on 1st April 2001. And whichever is higher will be considered, whichever is beneficial to the SSE will be considered. But any cost of improvement incurred by an SSE before 1/4/2001, that is prior to 1st April 2001, will not be considered at all for the purpose of indexation. All right. So that's all for this particular session. Thank you.